What's up? I just wonder if I should. What's up, Lily? Yes. Camping. I'm going to talk a little bit about my camping experience. And of course, I can't help but to go deep. We're going to talk about the meaning of life in like 10 minutes. Let me know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please let me know. Well, thank you for joining me, guys, on my attempt to do weekly lives. Last week I did not do a live. I was camping and I didn't plan properly because I had no service and to get service was just too laborious. One thing about camping, guys, camping is laborious, and I like to work out, but I don't know if I like labor. So anyway, what I'm going to spend the next maybe 5 minutes is 5 to 10 minutes is just to tell you a little bit about my camping. Hey, 13 months of sunshine. Talk about my camping experience from last week and also segue into what I believe the meaning of life is. So last week I went to Vermont and camped at this site, really large land, beautiful views of the mountain. And this was straight camping. This wasn't like glamping. I mean, they had an outhouse, okay? And there was showers, but I just, after seeing the outhouse, I was like, nah, I'm good. But thankfully I had these wipes, and so we were able to use that to stay fresh. I did 3 nights. I think 3 nights is good for me, and that's good. But you know, I really enjoyed camping mainly because it allowed me to unplug. Also allowed me to reconnect with nature. I think that a lot of us don't take enough advantage of being in the outdoors, and nature has restorative factors and attributes. And so, hey Dana, what's up? And so I really recommend folks to make that a regular thing in their lives, whether it's like going for a walk, going for a hike, or doing something, because we have so much nature around us, and it's just so good for our soul. And so when we went camping, the first night in the tent, we battled some bugs, which I'm like totally freaked out when it comes to bugs. I don't do too well. And then the second night, I had mentioned like we had like wolves howling in the middle of the night. Hey, Belawi, I hope I'm saying that right. The wolves sounded like they were like right next door, and because they didn't have service, it's not like I could just Google what that meant. So I kept thinking to myself, like, what does it mean for wolves to just howl like that? Are they like calling their pack? You know, should we like move, run? I mean, we can't go that far. So that was a little, scary. And then the third night was a downpour, but thankfully I brought a canopy, and that helped with some of the downpour. Some rain got in, but not so much. And then just kind of grilled our food on the outside, kept it real simple. We had like chicken we did salmon that was already seasoned. We did bring our own seasonings because I'm from the islands, and we got to put some adobo or something on that bad boy. So, and then we just roasted some corn. I ate a lot of graham crackers and marshmallows, and we did it over the fire pit. So, would I camp again? Yes, I would. But like I said, 3 days is my max. And then afterwards, we went to a hotel and, refreshed. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I have another meeting following this, but I really wanted to take some time to talk about the meaning of life, which is like a heavy concept, right? It's the middle of the week, it's Wednesday. Who really wants to talk about the meaning of life? But I feel like this is a time, right? Because, we're in COVID era and people have a lot of quote unquote downtime, but a lot of time to just really think about their lives and think about what it all means for them, and to think about their relationships, and also to really reconnect with what their purpose is, right? What is the thing that you want to materialize in your life? And it feels weird because everything is such in the air and uncertain, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't warrant your attention, And so, I always thought like, we just go towards this linear path, right? this linear path of like, you go to school, you get a trade or you get a degree, then you work, and maybe you start a family, maybe, you get into a relationship, and then life continues, right? And so for me, the meaning of life isn't what we think it is. I've heard people saying, like I said, the meaning of life is to find a purpose and to follow that purpose. This is why people spend a lot of time thinking about what they want to do with their lives. It's also why people spend time thinking about how to create more meaning in their lives. But for me, there's an entire piece that's missing, right? And of course, yes, that's part of it, because as humans, we want and need to feel useful, right? And usefulness comes in various forms depending on your individual needs and the things that you like. So yes, purpose and meaning are present in this overall definition, but there's something missing. And this is huge. This is what I often see when I'm working with my clients or when I'm having conversations with people. But from my personal and professional experiences, the meaning of life is really about unbecoming and unlearning. And that's a challenge for a lot of people, right? Unbecoming and unlearning is what I spend more time with people doing, right? Unlearning and questioning everything that they have learned thus far. And so, before you can pursue your passion or your purpose, whatever that is, before you can find meaning in your life, you must first unbecome who you currently are, right? You must first unlearn many ideals and concepts that shaped who you are. And that's a radical thought, right? And that's a tough pill to swallow because these are things and core beliefs that you've carried on for quite some time. And a lot of some of these belief systems are hard to rattle, right? That's why as a therapist, as a coach, I'll always be in business, right? And so I'm just looking at my notes here. And so there are certain aspects of our personalities, right, that might be difficult to budge because everyone has their particular quirks, right? Everyone, that makes them unique. But without unlearning, you won't get from where you are now to where you want to be, okay? Because usually, right, and our parents and our caregivers, they do the best that they can. And if you've had good enough parenting, then maybe, as an adult, you might not have as many difficulties as some other folks who maybe have experienced severe traumas, right? But unlearning everything that you've learned to relearn is a huge part of the process. And I think that is really the focus and the meaning of life, right? So Carl Jung, who is a Swiss psychoanalyst and psychiatrist, and he said that the first half of your life, right, the first half is devoted to forming a healthy ego. And that means, with your relationships with your caretakers, because that's like the first set of relationship experiences that we have. And then the second half is going inward and then letting it all go. And this is where I see a lot of resistance with the people that I meet. So in other words, every human being aims to form a healthy ego because by developing healthy egos, it allows you to navigate challenging life situations. But for you to transcend, right, and get out of your own way, you have to let go of something, right? And that's very difficult for us, especially people who like to control things a lot. If you like to control things, then this will be hard because when we're holding on so tightly something, it's usually because out of fear. It's also because we haven't grieved or mourned something, right? So letting go of who you are is uncomfortable because, what got you to where you are brought you a lot of comfort. It brought you protection at one point. I always tell the folks that I work with, like, the defense mechanisms that you've used as either a child or as a young adult no longer serve you in this stage in your life. So you're challenged here to unlearn all of that, right? And unlearning is humbling because you have to admit to yourself that you never knew much to begin with, right? Because at a certain point, all that stuff that you knew it's no longer useful to a certain extent. And so I'm about to wrap it up soon, guys, but I wanted to read this quote from this Soto Zen monk. His name, I'm probably going to butcher it. His name is Shunryo Suzuki. He's a monk and a teacher that popularized Zen Buddhism here in the States. And he said, if your mind is empty, it's always ready for anything. It's open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many, many possibilities, right? But in the expert's mind, there are very few. So that's why I always encourage people to really come with a sense of curiosity about life, about their relationships. You know, there's this thing like we just want to assume that we know everything or that like we get it. And when we come from a place of curiosity, then we can see multiple possibilities, right? And so as you journey through life and you are developing yourself, know that the resistance creeps up when you fight against this process of unbecoming and unlearning. And this is why I always talk about healing the conflict within, because as much as what's going on outside, yes, we can see the external results of like all this conflict externally, but a lot of it is just internal conflict that's being played out externally, right? And so once you allow the unfolding to take place, the resistance loosens, and then you will be well on your way to living a life that is authentic and that's filled with joy, which then allows you to pursue all the things that you want to pursue. But without this unlearning and unbecoming process, the unfolding, and I feel like this is what the quarantine, this whole COVID thing is all about. It's really challenging us to unlearn everything that we've known about ourselves, about our relationships, and about even the work that we do, our interests, everything. Because now it's like, where do you place all that now that you're here? Where does all that stuff go? And then what do you do moving forward, right? So my challenge for you here is to be open to the unlearning process, be open to unbecome everything that you are, so that you can let the light illuminate, and so that you can transcend in ways that you probably would not transcend had you not unlearned everything. So that's all I got today, guys. I really appreciate you guys staying with me. I will be back next week with Wi-Fi every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I don't know what I'll be talking about, but I'll be here. Thanks, guys. Yo, the world is everywhere right now. Unlearned. That's right, Courtney. You got it. Take care, guys. See you next week.